Hail, hail! The Celts are here, and we're here on a Thursday morning, and we've got a lot to get through in this one. And I thought we would just jump on live and just kind of rattle through all of it because right after this one, we're still in the throes of the January window. At point of recording, at point of live stream, we're at the 15th. Bang! Well, not really the halfway, also 31 days in that, but yeah, still basically just over 2 weeks to go. We've come out the Falkirk game. We've got lots of stuff to get stuck into. There's a bunch of heroes and legends with us in the chat here. So fist bumps to you all. We did try and get this one plugged into the Substack, but I've just got a little error notification that the live there had a little glitch or two in it. So thanks to everyone joining us on YouTube, and good to see you all here. Fist bumps on arrival. Smash the like button, get into the chat, and we've got like 3 pillars to go through today. So we'll get kicked off with pillar number 1, which was the Snoozfest that was last night. Not a game that will live long in the memory, I think, for many, if any, Celtic fans coming out with this one. And sadly, it was a game of really deja vu in a lot of ways. You know, I kind of said it in my post-match post out on the timeline last night, but it was a real throwback to the kind of the problems that we had under Rodgers. It's just the reality of the squad when you try and come up against well-organised teams domestically and in Europe with like only one string to your bow, only like really one clear established route to goal, passage of play we can try and exploit. It was something that like you guys will probably all know. Traitors is on the TV there now. So when the game was kicking off last night, I was relegated to TV2. I was kicked into the bedroom, had myself a wee steak dinner, and I thought, oh, cool, I'll get to watch the football in my bedroom essentially. And the first half, I must have dozed off for about 10 minutes. Honestly, it was so dull. It was so boring. And again, it was really, I had to give myself a shake. Obviously, it was fine for the rest of the game, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't pay attention to it. I just couldn't focus on it. Just the ball wasn't sticking. The football was, yeah, it was inexplicably just horrible to watch. It just wasn't good. And some interesting things came out of the game, but ultimately, I don't really have very much to say coming out of it. Having went back over the footage again, and even listened to a lot of the breakdown and the aftermath from other Celtic fan media channels. Like, there's just nothing out of this game that's worth talking about, I don't think, in any great length or detail. I do think the usage of the bench was quite interesting. Coming into the game, I had some comments coming to me because we'd been profiling midfielders across Europe that would fit into the league. And time again, we've seen Elliot Watt, we've seen Cammy Devlin right up in the rankings for the league, alongside the likes of McGregor's and Raskins and one or two guys like that showing up depending on the statistic in question. But no matter what we looked at, Brad Spencer was in amongst it, and he had a good game against us last night. It was maybe one of the subscribers on the channel maybe paid attention to a little bit here. It wasn't on the ball too much per se, and I guess weird statistics that are not really quite captured. But I thought he broke up quite a lot of plays, and was quite a good engine in the middle of the pitch for them. Yeah, he won a tackle. I thought the statistics may have been a bit kinder to him, but that was kind of funny. I was quite impressed with the boy Connor Allen. Like, I know we've just brought back Welsh, but see if we were to sell Welsh and buy somebody. This kid's 21 and playing at centre back. He's listed here as a midfielder, so maybe a bit of a position conversion this year. But I really liked this kid at centre back. I thought this is definitely somebody I would take into Celtic as like defender number 4 or something like that. Clearances, tackles, blocks. I thought he did quite okay. The wingers, like, there's very little to say about this. I think like Maeda was absent, of course, and it was a bit of a throwback, as I said, to the problems we faced earlier in the season, where when Maeda just gets lost in the crowd of defenders, when we're building out from the back, we're slowly twisting the screw and putting everyone into position, not too dissimilar really to this when it's all said and put into place. Araujo probably a bit tighter, depending on situations and stuff. We're kind of looking at a kind of build out like this, and Maeda just gets lost. And the thing with Maeda is when you pick him in here over Kenny, you're kind of buying persona, you're kind of buying headspace in the opposition defenders, because the defenders should fear Dyson Maeda a lot more than Johnny Kenny, for example. And there was no opportunity where we really made Dyson the focal point of, giving the Falkirk defence something really to think about. Everything was played in front of the Falkirk defence. Everything was quite left to right. Tierney played well. Tuneke, I think, had flashes, particularly as the game went on. He got more and more success as the game went on. But again, I think you can just see the true level of where he's at right now. Tuneke, really, price point, profile, caliber, pedigree, everything He's a very good Celtic player, but again, it's a not too dissimilar situation to Yang. I'd maybe even extend that to the likes of Johnny Kenny, where like they would be fine, like if you had to use them at your wish, at your disposal. But when you have to play them week in, week out, you will get good and you will get not as good sometimes, you know. I do feel that Taneki and Negren have got a good understanding, maybe a bit of the Swedish connection there. Taneki having played in Sweden or whatever, bit of a cultural similarity, perhaps. You know, they've got maybe a wee friendship on the go there. And I did feel that again we were very left-hand side dominant. All the volume was coming down the left-hand side for the most part. Araujo again did very fine in this game as well. Did very good. Didn't you know, he had a few good kind of breakouts here. I'm waiting for Araujo to really open his legs up, but the Araujo I remember is like way more attacking. I think he's been really solid defensively. And again, I hasten to remind everyone in some of the content we've did on the channel, we might have missed it, but Araujo, when we signed Alistair Johnson, he was like top 3, top 5 right back in the league. Araujo was unequivocally number 1, and that's defensively. And I think we've seen defensively, he's not perfect, but he's definitely up for it. You know, I mean, he's definitely got a bit of bite about him and a nose for danger. But this guy, attack-wise, was his real USP, his real difference maker. And I was kind of hoping to see that in the last 2 games. There's been glimpses of it, but I'm really waiting for them to open up and go. Like I mentioned, I thought the bench was quite interesting. We only made 3 subs in the game. We brought on Hitate and McKeown, first of all. And this was kind of interesting because Taneke and Yang were kind of going nowhere to nobody. You know, it just wasn't really working. And bringing in McKeown and Hitate, if I can go and find them both. There's Rio and where's look, McKeown. I was going to call him Chocolate Bar. Well, there was that Chocolate Bar thing that happened last year. McKeown, where was McKeown? Coming in off the right or the left. I'm absolutely losing my marbles for the second half now. But yeah, I think McKeown was coming out off the left and Negren was kind of more on the right, if anything. And we brought Hitate into the middle. And then laterally in the game, oh, no. Dyson went to the left. That's exactly how it panned out. Dyson went to the left, McKeown went to the right. And Negren was kind of meant to be up front for a little bit, but again, I think you can see the problem with Negren as a centre forward that it is again like McGregor, but in an attack, a bit more of an attacking sense. He's just got this gravitational pull towards the ball, you know, where he's like, even if he is meant to be up here, we found him kind of dropping into some of these deeper pockets to connect to play. And sadly, because Falkirk were very good at crowding out Maeda didn't get any opportunity to be threatening in this game at all. McKeown's not getting away from much with pace, and I say Araujo, we never really got him really firing on this one. Kind of went to nobody up front for a little while, didn't it? Before eventually Johnny Kenny comes on for Arnie Engels. Now, it actually took me a wee minute or two to work out who had came off for Johnny Kenny when that had happened. But I think that was maybe O'Neill and Maloney trying the Gren up there for a minute or two. Like, come on, man, can we just feed him? He's like the guy that's, you know, been putting the ball in the back of the net, has been getting into good scoring positions. You know, McKeown was coming inside, kind of makes a bit more of a cover position here when Engels is taking out the picture, but it's very much more McGregor was just sitting and it was just throw more people on and try and go further forward. And then when you put Kenny on top of that, you would think, right, okay, we're really going to push it now, but just never really came to much, did it? You know? So I've not really got much to say on the game, to be honest. I feel like it was quite one-dimensional. I think Falkirk are obviously quite upset to not do better in the game. They had some clear chances. Schmeichel won us the points. I know Negren scored the goal, whatever. Schmeichel won us the points on the day. Had a very good performance. Actually saved shots that he had been conceding before, you know. So good to see a return to, you know, Brockburn or whatever we're going to call it. And his dad been in the stadium has maybe just gotten back on track again. A wee bit of a cold shower maybe for Big Casper here. Player rating wise, he came out with the highest scoring player on the day for us in 85. And I think that's for good reason. Good, I say clean sheet. He also brought that home. Goalkeeping wise, he made 6 saves, 4 saves from inside the box, 1 punch, and 1 sweeper keeper. So good situ from him. 36 passes, 8 missed passes, 6 accurate long balls, 8 possession loss in total. So, yeah, not much more to really say about the game. Taneki has no upper body strength. Yeah, but I think that's one thing like Yang has had. Yang's had like strength and kind of dribbling power, but no real technique. And Taneki has technique and has a bit of vision, but pace, he's fast without being like Nicholas Kuhn level, maybe not too far away from it. but he does have technique and guile, and he is good at buying some space. But as we've seen in the Celtic career already, he can be shut down. He does need support from a fullback as well as a midfielder to be like as effective as he is currently. Definitely needs to go through a bit of a growth period, break through that glass ceiling, and that's only going to happen with minutes. So you're kind of similar to Yang. We've invested a lot of time in Yang, whether we've liked it or not. And that investment is kind of now paying off over the last couple of games. A bit of a quieter game for him in this one. But Taneke is kind of the same way, where he can definitely solve the problems that he's facing with the tools he's got at his disposal. But we're after instant success, and if Taneke was coming on every game and like pushing the quality of the starting 11, and we had somebody clearly in front of him, then I think it would be a fantastic addition to the team. He is a fantastic addition to the team, but like I've kind of mentioned already, when you've got these guys in by through no choice, you just come up against these situations where it's maybe not an ideal game. You don't really have a great option to swap them around with. And yeah, it does seem. I think when you get to Europe, you really do feel the difference. You feel that Gordon Strachan quote rearing around again, don't you? Yeah, Araujo's been quite inverted, hasn't he? I've been quite surprised by how narrow Araujo's been for the most part. I'm pretty sure if you look at his heat map, he has popped on the wide areas, but he's been mainly on this inside channel for the most part. Yeah, and Yang's definitely been a lot wider. I would agree with that. I don't mind Celts talking about players. Strange Love, you're drinking the same tea as me. I was saying that with McBride. Can we get Zlatan? Like, seriously, can we get Zlatan? Now, we've got a lot of stuff to get into because, again, this was just clearly another game of we have nobody up front that we can. But and the thing with, we mentioned it earlier, and I've done that semi-deliberately to remind myself, right? But part of the get out, Dyson came to Celtic as a striker where we're playing wide. And Kyogo came to Celtic as a wide guy. We played at striker. And then throughout the whole time of them being here, there's a whole conversation around, like forever, Dyson could play through the middle and he was like third choice and then he became first choice. We've seen the whole rigmarole, right? Now, it feels like everyone is unanimously saying Dyson isn't a striker, and the flip-flop people go through is incredible at times. But the one thing you cannot deny about Dyson, when we have used him through the middle previously, is he's threatened people. Like, the defenses have been scared of him. And I don't even think he's bringing that to the party anymore. I genuinely think, like, because of the positioning of Johnny Kenny as like a striker, as like a natural striker, I actually think he would have gave them a tougher time in the time that Dyson had on the pitch. I don't think he gave. Part of that is the support from the team and how we're kind of building out and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just didn't feel that the Falkirk defence really carried that fear on Dyson in this one. And if nothing else, that's kind of what we need. Even if we've got a guy coming in, and we'll get to who we've been linked to and all that kind of stuff in a moment. But even guys that can, they might not be fantastic build-up players. They might not be the best caliber of Champions League level striker or whatever. But the fear of a defence fearing a striker has like a psychological effect on the team, and it pulls midfields deeper. It makes fullbacks a bit more hesitant to bomb on and support. Presses need to be a bit more conservative at times and all the rest of it. So I think, for lack of a better term, the psychology of bringing in a real threat, a real predator up front, regardless of how they played. Bowie is probably the main one for that, where people in the league will just be more fearful of Bowie than anyone else we've got right now. Now, we're going to get to shouts and all the rest of it. The chat is fine away, guys. I'd love to see you all here, by the way. Fist bumps to you all. We've got a bunch of you here on YouTube. If you are watching live, please hit the like button. It really goes a long way to supporting the content here and helping the channel grow. We've had fantastic growth over the winter period, and long may it continue. Thanks very much to the support from each and every one of you on all the content, but particularly with the lives. Getting involved in the live chat and smashing the like button is huge. So thank you very much. And that's kind of all I've got to say about the Falkirk game, to be honest with you. Now, we have started to hear rumblings and reports and rumours. The smoke is starting to build. That we're all going to say there's no smoke without fire around concerning Franko Kovacevic. Now, normally when we get linked to the obscure, more and more as the years go on, the more obscure the player, the more mentions I get on Twitter for what about this guy, Quinny? Do we know anything about him? Now, all the stuff I follow is Opta circulated, so I follow all the leagues where Opta are scoring the games and covering it on a wider basis. And a lot of the leagues that we do shop in, sadly, Sweden even being one of them. Sweden's one of those leagues that's a wee bit on the maybe should be covered a bit more than what it is in terms of the the rankings and the levels of the league, etc. But anyway, conversation for another day. But Slovenia is one of those leagues, so I don't really have much great intel from where I like to source intel from. And I think this kind of kicks us off because we've had a lot of discussion from you guys in the chat. Some of you have named some fantastic shouts. I've looked into all of them in preparation for this video today, and we'll go through what we can. Now, I'm not going to show highlights on this. You can find all the highlight packages. I've maybe looked at a wee bit more than what you can find on YouTube, but not a great deal, to be honest with you, because with strikers, and I know like you can't judge a player off highlights. I get that, right? I'm not an idiot. But when it comes to strikers, what type of goals they score, how they score them, how difficult they are to score is something you want to see. You know what I mean? It's just unavoidable. You need to see how they play. You know, it's just, you have to put the eye test of some description against them. Now, I like the look of Franko Kovacevic in a lot of ways. Is he the best of the bargain basement, the bargain bucket options? We'll get to that, I suppose, as we roll through it. But he's, you know, when you're going down these levels, it's the same kind of principle, I think. Like, I used to coach at kind of amateur part-time level, and I think it kind of smacks to me of when you're at whatever stage of the game that you're kind of exposed to, you're playing in, or whatever, you can see a guy that's maybe like 2 or 3 levels below, you know, at any given level, doing very well, and imagining, oh, do you know, if you just put better players around them, then, you know, the scale up from amateur part-time to semi-pro part-time, like that might not be too big of a jump. And then obviously you think about it from the Slovenian league to the Scottish league, you know, it's probably not too big of a jump. And if you put better players around that guy, he could be hitting the back of the net. And I don't mind that concept. It's not bulletproof. It's not, you know, gospel or anything like that. But for me to be confident in that, I want to see guys in the 99.9th percentile and stuff. And this guy's goals to game ratio, since been back in Slovenia or whatever it is pretty wild. In the Conference League, he scored 8 goals in 9 games, including qualifiers, which is absolutely fantastic. He had a big hat-trick as well against Athens. This is the only time this guy has popped up on my radar in terms of a name or a highlights and all that kind of stuff. He scored 2 away at Shamrock Rovers. This is maybe the only concern I have about the guy is he's a bit of a punches and bunches type character. There is stretches of games here where he's maybe not contributing as much. And it is like, for this team, Kielce, it's like the big games he's turning up in. Like Ljubljana is one of the teams at the top end of the league traditionally. You see them in the Conference League and the Europa League qualifiers over the years. Maribor the same, obviously all the games in Europe. But outside of that, if you look at the run-of-the-mill games here, there's one against Mura, 2 goals, fine. But yeah, I don't know. I like the look of him a lot, and he's scoring at a very high rate. It's not just like getting a couple of goals here and there. When we looked at Kvitsgarden before, he was very much would score like 6 goals in 4 games and then wouldn't do anything for ages. This guy's got a bit more of a spread, but yeah, you can maybe see what I'm talking about here a bit more, where he's not actually scored in his last 5 or 6, and maybe that's a bit harsh on him. Maybe there's some other implication to the team. Maybe just come back from an injury as well, picked up an injury. So there's maybe a bit of context in that's missing. But I like doubles, I like hat-tricks, I like scoring against the big teams in the league, 2 against Maribor, 3 against Athens. And if you're going to do this bargain basement thing, I think somebody like him is the sort of the only kind of guys to consider. I don't want to be looking at guys that have scored 3 goals and 14 and stuff like that, you know. Now, one of the names you guys brought up, who, again, I think when you check this guy out, stands up very well, compares quite nicely to Kovacevic. Now, the thing with Kovacevic, I would say, is a positive. He's 26 and he's moved about a little bit, which isn't always a fantastic thing, okay? But he has, you know, adapted to cultures. He's moved, he's changed house, he's did all that stuff before. A guy that had a bit of a pedigree when he was a bit younger, going to the Bundesliga at quite a young age, even going to Cincinnati in their formative years on a big contract, no doubt, as a young prospect, before then returning back to Europe. And, you know, when I see he went to the K-League, I think, oh, this is interesting. Is K-League, like, Gangwon are okay. I think they've had good moments where they've been up in the table, but 1 goal in 3 isn't that great, you know, in the K-League. The K-League, you need to be physical as a striker. You know, all the K-League strikers that do well, if you think about if you think about the other guy that we liked that went to Midtjylland, Cho, to do well at centre forward in the K-League, you do need to be like, and you can look at like The K-League don't have little guys up front, unless they're Brazilian. There's a few of them, but otherwise they're big guys. And this is a big guy. And, K-League defenders are used to dealing with big guys. This is kind of more akin to our level. So, I don't know. I'm not totally sold on him. I think I like him. I think if on the numbers and on the way he looks, he's just as good a shout as anyone else. And if it's done at a transfer fee the club are happy with, I could support it and just wish the guy luck, of course. But another guy that profiles quite well. Yeah, exactly. It's well, yeah. None of us go to Slovenia to watch football. I don't mind going to some other places around Europe once in a while. It's maybe a bit overdue, but yeah, I don't think any of us are going to go to Slovenia or maybe even Poland for that matter. Now, Bobchek, I can't remember who it was that recommended this guy, but this guy looks really good, and I'm a fan of this guy. He's breaking into the Slovakia national team slowly but surely. He is a little bit younger than Kovacevic at 24. His market value is considerably higher. But this is a guy that looks like he could move into the Bundesliga. Could he be a wild success and play for one of the top teams? Who knows? But he definitely looks like he's got the chops. He definitely looks like he's got a bit of that about him. One of the things I like about this guy is he came through at this team here, Ruzobomer, or whatever they're called, scored goals for them. They got promoted. He then played a little bit in Europe for them before then transferring to Lechia. They were in the second tier of Poland. He did well. So he did well in 2 second tiers, gaining promotion, and then, especially in the Polish case, done very well in the top tier thereafter. The reason I like that is because that's like, winning a title, coming through adversity, having 6-point matches, having must-win games, and it's achieving stuff. He's definitely like earned his level. He's not a guy that's came out of a big academy and just like walked into a big team and when it didn't work out there. The kind of trick, the step down when you start really high. I think you all know what I'm saying. You just get better exposure to leagues and clubs much higher up. Whereas a guy like this, who has really started, where's he from? Slovakia second tier to first tier to Polish second tier to first tier. I kind of like that as a career path. So I quite like the look of this guy. Is he going to be too pricey for us though? Is another matter. Now, a guy that we profiled in the summer, and I love all the support we get on the channel, right? But this is a guy, if I'm Celtic, I would have been tracking since the summer. We did a video, we did a 2-for-1. It was Austria and Norway. It's in the summer scouting series on the channel. There's a playlist. You can find it very easily. And we spoke about Daniel Carlsbach. Now, back in the summer, he had just returned to Norway. Is he Norwegian? Yeah, he is. He'd returned to Norway to play for Sarpsborg. This is the team that had Orja Setter at the club, who we were very close to signing, a right winger who's now doing quite well in the Eredivisie for Twente, I want to say. And when we spoke about him in the summer, it was maybe like this clutch of games. It was maybe around May or June where, he'd started the league quite well, was scoring quite prolifically. And this is a guy that had only just transferred. So you want to see, does this form maintain? And it's very unlikely that, clubs sell guys after 6 months. It's kind of what happened with Taneke, and part of the reason we had to super spend over the odds on him to force the deal through, as well as Celtic's desperation. But since that time, he's actually continued his form very nicely. It's maybe, again, a little bit patchier than I would like. But again, he's not a dominant team. He is still coming up with goals regularly enough. And if we can look at Sarpsborg to see where they find themselves in the table, thanks to the goals being scored by Carlsbach, they currently find themselves in 9th. They've scored 48 in 30 matches. And how many does he account for? 18, which is a very good number. Now, I'd say half of that came in the first 10 games of the season or something. So that's maybe where a bit of my reservations still land with him. And I wouldn't maybe rush to go and bring him in. But all the same, 18 goals out of a team that scores 48, that's like a third. That's like a good ratio to hold, isn't it? So prolific and effective. And, obviously Bodo and some other teams in here that we hold in high regard doing quite well. Another name, which out of these bargain basements, the ones that aren't really Opta covered to the same extent, Norway is. We could look at more details for Carlsbach again if we want to. But a name that a lot of you guys have been bringing up, and sorry guys about the ads, I'll get this off in a minute, is August Prisk. Now, this guy really, really jumps off the page in a big way. The goals he scored are really nice. He's one of the, was he the top scorer? I forget. I had checked all this out before coming on, but certainly one of the top scorers in the Allsvenskan in the Swedish league last year. May have been top scorer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. He was scoring for fun, doubles and bunches consistently throughout the season. There's a little dry patch here when the fixtures have stacked up with Europe, which is kind of fair game, I guess. Yeah, 18 goals and 27. Formerly of the PSV Academy. And this is kind of what I was meaning with the Bob check earlier. This guy comes through PSV. It's working out for him quite nicely in the academy. He's playing, maybe he's not scoring as much as you would like there, but he moves to Midtjylland in an effort to, maybe move down a little bit, but get more minutes. Don't really know what happened there. They loan him back to Eindhoven. He gets minutes in the same league he was playing in anyway. And then eventually he moves to Djurgården, again, taking a step down to get more minutes. And this is where he's kind of found his level. So a guy that's been at the sort of clubs that normally, like if this guy was coming through at PSV, there's no chance we'd be able to get him. Same as Midtjylland. And if these guys have profiled the guy before, brought him into the team, signed him, gave him contracts, etc., this is what made me interested to look at him further. And when you look at him, you can tell this guy, I don't know if I'd quite say he has a swagger to him, but he's definitely got that poise of a guy that's been at a higher level than where you currently find him. And bringing him out of the Swedish league into the Scottish league is probably a smaller jump up than what it would be from like the Slovenian league and the Polish league, for example. I'm not a big fan of the transition we've seen from the Polish league over the years, although there's been one or two successes. But I like the Prisk guy a lot. At 21 as well, is much more of that Celtic prospect type level where it's a guy that could come in and be successful. But again, I think if you buy a guy like this, you need somebody to go alongside him. And when you think about somebody that's maybe been around the block once or twice, got a wee bit more of a track record, again, his name has been brought up and he really does fit this mold of being effective, maybe just in and around the level of the SPFL, maybe just beneath it in some regards or just above it, depends on how you want to look at things. And that is David Datro Fofana. Now, this guy unceremoniously kind of rejected us in the summer to eventually end up in Turkey, thought he was going to go to Charlton. Did very well in Norway with Molde. Chelsea paid money for him. We've obviously got a Chelsea scout in the building right now. So he would have been part of the team that identified and brought the guy to Chelsea, you have to imagine. Played in the Bundesliga, also played Champions League for Union Berlin in this season. So has a wee bit of Champions League experience. Burnley in the Prem, 1 in 3, essentially. Not too bad considering the situation there. Karagümrük and Göztepe kind of fine, And Fatih Karagümrük, not a great team, so not high volume chance creation. The Turkish league is pretty handy, a stronger league than ours, certainly. And I don't mind the profile of the guy. But because of the situation, how it went in the summer, I definitely just wouldn't entertain this one, to be honest with you. I'd be much more interested. It sounds like Martin O'Neill was asked about Kovacevic and he didn't want to say no. And I think his kind of cute answer was him just not wanting to lie, at this point. So I believe and I think the quote that came out from Anthony Joseph was exploring the possibility. And I think you do want to look at this guy medically a bit more detail, because, yeah, the K-League record is maybe the thing that I have a question mark around. Like, why didn't he do a bit better in the K-League? That's my main question mark. Alternative to him, yeah, I really like the Bob check shout. I really like Carlsbach. Prisk, again, another one from you guys, looks the part. I really quite like him. And I think Fofana is a bit too one-dimensional. But if we were going to be going around these bargain basement type options, my number one choice hasn't changed. He ticks all the boxes of everyone else we spoke about, and he's got even bigger boxes. And it's Jan Fiete Arp. Now, this guy, we spoke about him again in the summer, same as Carlsbach. This is a player that if I was at Celtic, I would have been monitoring this whole time. But it was a free agent in the summer, left Holstein Kiel to go to Odense, and has been absolutely smashing it. This is a guy that has a big profile, a big pedigree. If you think about Nicholas Kuhn, we'd signed him after being at Leipzig, Munich, and Ajax. He's won youth awards, and we'd kind of found him on the trash heap at Rapid Vienna. And then he comes to us and does great. This guy is that on steroids. He won all the big youth awards. This guy coming out of Hamburg was the hottest prospect in German football for a couple of years. He went to Bayern Munich for a lot of money at a very young age to replace Lewandowski. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, right? But that's the type of profile, it's the type of guy he is. And his career, like up until this point, has not really got off the ground. He's played a lot in Bundesliga 2 and been very effective. Got into the Bundesliga with Holstein Kiel last year, played a lot. Again, wasn't really super effective, but has went to the Danish league, a really poor team at Odense, 17 games, 3 goals, 8 assists in the league, 1 in the cup. National team, nothing to mention since youth level. And I was mentioning about the difficulty of getting somebody out after being in a team for a short period of time. I would make this happen. If we're going to go bargain basement, if Kieran Bowie is 6 million quid, give O'Dence 4, 5, 6 million quid and get this guy, because this guy is rubs shoulders with the good and the great, has the pedigree, is on form, is budget, is achievable. And I think if we are going budget European striker that can hit the back of the net, this is the one that has like the biggest chance of working and serves us not just for right now, but even further and beyond. I'm going to take a wee pause and a wee breath for a moment. Wanted to speak about the Falkirk game. Wanted to speak about Kovacevic and the budget strikers. But we also have a third pillar to discuss. We did call the stream ins and outs, and we'll get to that in a wee moment. Let me catch up with the chat here. Fist bumps to you all. Good to see you. Will we sign Hooper? We could, by the way. I think he's still firing and fit, isn't he? Fetty Arp, tailor made for Celtic. I think so. Yeah, the thing is, like, that's the way football teams work, is speculate to accumulate. You know, some of them do it quite recklessly, some of them do it quite poorly, but you know, that was the number one advantage Rangers were going to get by having Americans involved, is like they are totally fine with having a risk appetite. Maybe Rangers fans are maybe done with that, but they won't be, and they'll push the boat out. They'll see that, you know, spending whatever they're going to spend on wages this year, if they gain Champions League qualification out of it, not just the cash that comes with that, but the domino effect, the ripple effect of these things are intangibly valuable, and short-term outlay would be worth it. Let me see. Fofana's a flop. Iska's going to Birmingham. Oh, Jez Hornkamp would have been great, but he's moved now. He's went to AZ. Oh, is that where all the... Is that maybe what the... Oh, yeah, I saw the chat from the advert. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'm expecting Martin O'Neill. Somebody said the quote here that Carlsbach has been linked to Trabzonspor. I have seen that also. Prisk, the Birmingham one, I didn't see that, but I just thought I would talk on them because she's asked about them quite often. So I thought I would just kind of prepare and look at them and have a wee piece on them because she's asked about them so often. Yeah, so good to see you all. And I think we're all kind of on this. The winger at Basel now, Otello, whatever his name is again. I have seen a little bit of Basel. I've been watching wee bits of Basel this year, not full matches or anything, but I've been quite interested in the Alpine Messi, Shaqiri, and Otello has been playing quite a bit. Let me have a wee peek. Let's have a peek at Basel. So yeah, last game of the season, or last game before their break. Yeah, here he is here, Otelli. They played against Servette, 26-year-old. Yeah, he's doing okay. He's doing okay. Had a really good purple patch here. This might have included some European games. No, this is all in the domestic game, the domestic league for Switzerland. So yeah, had a nice bit of form here. This is kind of the only tail of the tape the guy's got, but Opta rating-wise, I'm always nervous with the Swiss League. Now, the Swiss League has actually produced some really good players over the last couple of years, some that we've been linked to and we didn't actually capture. So the Swiss League isn't one that I've really got a good grasp on. We were linked to a guy, Sanchez Borges or something like that, or Yves Sanchez Borges or something like that. And he's went to Young Boys. He looks like somebody we should have snapped up. Fabian Rieder looks okay. He's not really worked at the Bundesliga. But there's a few guys that have came out and actually looked not too bad in recent years. But there was a few that came out and like, who was the Brazilian striker if they spent money on? Arthur Cabral. You know, there's a few guys that came out and they didn't really deliver. So I'm always a bit nervous with the Swiss League. I don't really know how to rank it, you know, in terms of how good do they need to be. If we change this to Europa, go off the bench against Freiburg. Yeah, he's done all right in Europa. Tough teams for Basel as well, must be said. He's done all right. He's a left winger, but isn't he? Fabian Rieder gave us the middle finger 3 years ago, did he? That's hilarious. I didn't know that. Pretty sure we were linked to him. O scored against his team. Yeah, he's a left winger. Don't think we need another left winger, do we? Scott Twine, that's a not bad shout. Or Scouting as Pure Mince. Well, you never know, man. You never know. Let's see who they've come up with. Like, I think the problem, the scouting is mince. Yeah, like Martin O'Neill's confirmed that there's been no homework done. There's no background. There's no baseline of targets been lined up. He is starting from ground zero, from scratch. And we've had a lot of rumours and a lot of word coming out about the the wage budget at Celtic, and one of the big wage carriers and one of the big money signings we had this year. A lot of you guys have mentioned them in the comments. Is Michelle Ange Balikwisha. Now, I get tagged in something yesterday saying that he'd removed all mention of Celtic. And what do I think about that? This is very typically a precursor to people moving. This is not unusual behaviour. We see this kind of thing happen all the time with players across European and world football. We still have the welcome Celtic move here. Okay, but yeah, everything else has been kind of chopped down. I follow Balikwisha, and he's posted much more than this. But the thing that really caught my eye when I went to look at this morning was his profile picture. And I can't click on this to expand it, but I'll read it out for you. 2023 changed me. 2024 killed me. 2025 opened my eyes. And 2026, I'm coming back. Now, there's still a lot of Antwerp on this. He loves Antwerp. Antwerp love him. Antwerp is the only other team in Europe he can play for. So this means one of two things for me, because Balikwisha has played for Antwerp and Celtic this season. He cannot feature for another team in Europe in the 25-26 season. He could go to the K League, he could go to the J League, he could go to MLS, he could go to Saudi, he could go to Sweden. Actually, he could go to Sweden. They're about to start a new season. And is there anyone else in that boat? I'm not too sure. But that's about it. So I don't know what to think about this. Let me know. I think this signals he's leaving, personally. He was training. We had to just about pick him out in training the other day. I'm going to fix my curtains in a moment. But yeah, no mention of him, not in the squad. 2026, I'm coming back. Doesn't feel like I'm going to make it work at Celtic, does it? So, if Balikwisha leaves, in any regard, somebody's taking care of his wages. At the very minimum, he's going to leave on loan, back to Antwerp perhaps, or he goes to America. And again, if he leaves Europe, that's a big problem for us, because those teams don't have the urgency that we do, you know. And if Celtic, again, like, this is the thing. See, if Celtic know we're going to offload Balikwisha and he's going to go to America, we don't need him to, you know, as long as, and I know you can't count chickens before they hatch, right? But we are not in a cash flow situation. We don't have a problem with money in the bank. And yeah, the wage to revenue ratio, UEFA, FFP stuff, whatever. But that is audited at like checkpoints. You know, if we're over it for like 2 months because we need to wait until March. When did we sell Abada to MLS? I think it was a weird time, like the middle of February or something like that. So it could be something like that with Balikwisha. And like, seriously, if we are waiting, if we know that's going to happen, he's talking to 3 clubs in MLS and he's just trying to work out where he goes, and maybe they're working on other deals and there's negotiations on the go, then like, screw it. And if it blows up in your face, as long as you win the league and all the rest of it, what will the fine be for being over the UEFA regulations by a Boher? It's not going to be anything, man. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, we have a problem with money, Quinny. It's locked up and out of reach. Yeah. Well, if Balikwisha is to leave, I think it frees up a lot of wages. I would be surprised if somebody like Bernardo wasn't to leave. I think we'd probably need another midfielder before somebody like him would be allowed to exit the club, though, granted. But with, yeah, JSP, we must have been on the hook for some of his wages. That'll be off the cards now. We've probably picked up Araujo as a kind of trade-off in that regard, I guess. But Balikwisha going maybe opens up the books. And like, I know we're looking at bargain basement strikers here, and that might be like what's available to us right now. And maybe we get something like this done. Martin O'Neill said, when you guys mentioned it before, that there's no pressure because the next 2 games they couldn't play anyway. Auchinleck Talbot's too soon, and then the next game is in Europe, so yeah, they won't be able to play. But I think that just takes a bit of pressure off from fan expectation, and it maybe gives them a bit of breathing space to go out and do any of these moves. Hopefully we'll be getting the haircut. Hopefully it's not for David Fofana or doesn't look like it's going to be Prisk or Carl's back, so it's most likely going to be Kovacevic. Maybe there's a Bob check conversation to be had still. And please, Celtic, for the love of God, speak to Jan Fettiart, speak to Obi Odense. You know what I mean? Like, I'd much rather this guy than Bowie. Surely you could get him for the same price, you know? What's your thoughts on who we've been linked to? So I kind of went through the bargain basements and some of those ones already. I think the only other guy we've been linked to I've not spoke on yet is Illich. And we can look at him. Or is it Ilicic? No, it's just Illich. Andrea Illich at Union Berlin. 25-year-old Serbian forward. Yeah, he's played a wee bit of internationals, not very regularly. Union Berlin, so he plays up front with Ollie Burke. You know, not a very attacking team. They do all right, but playing up front for them is about physicality, is about graft. He scored some goals. He's got a hat-trick of assists here against Frankfurt in a 4-3 win. Is this an Ollie Burke hat-trick? It is. Target man, Arrowhead, leader of the line. I'm sure would score more goals in Scotland and Germany. I don't know. It kind of smacks it to me again of Arnie Engels, but I kind of look at him and I'm like, why? Like, I just don't get it. Like, why this guy? I don't get it. You know, previously to Berlin, do we have any history on him? Yeah, we probably do. Leo? Nope, that's not Leo. Valerenga? Rigas? So he's been about this guy. What team is this? It's not. Oh, it's because I've got Bundesliga. So it'll be Valerenga. Yes, he did all right in Norway. Maybe this is why he's on our radar. Before then going to Germany. Interesting. The Norway element makes a lot of sense, actually. Maybe gives us a bit more credence than I thought. I've never really thought about this guy too much because I've just always been like, I don't see it as being realistic or making any sense. But yeah, I guess that could be where. Yeah, I'm all about the Jamie Lawrence move, by the way. Am I discounting Bowie? I think Bowie will be priced out. Paul John and the Axom crew were kind of chatting the other day about how Bowie's got a 40% sell on. So if you do the math, like Hibs need to sell him for like 6 million to make anything decent on him. And somebody in the Championship in England, like a Birmingham or a Watford, you know, these types of teams is Norwich paid 7 million for Ida. No, not Norwich. Where did he go again? Cardiff? No. Who they hit? Swansea. You know, these teams pay for guys like Bowie 6 to 8 million, no bother. Look at Nisbet. How much money did Aberdeen get for Nisbet? Or was it Hibs? They got money for Nisbet. It was, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think they'll get their price, and Celtic just will be priced out of it because we will not be paying that for him. I don't mind him, you know. Like I'd happily sign him, but he has to be signed with someone else, or Ian Acho has to be completely fit. He cannot be the only option for me. So I'm not discounting him at all. I just don't think it's going to happen with the reality of the sell-on clause to Fulham and whatnot. Yeah, and I say the Kovacevic one, like I say, I would want a you know, there's something missing, you know, medically. Like, where is this guy at? Physically, you know, why did it not work in the K League? And it could be the K League is quite a strong culture, as I'm sure you might imagine. So it could be that, but I just, I don't know. It's what gives me the heebie-jeebies, I suppose, on it. But yeah, looks the part. If we're going to go bargain basement, he's not a bad shout for it. And with Balikwisha, yeah, it feels like it's going to be, thanks to the memories, how fleeting they were. I agree with this, Kieran, completely. 6 million is not a lot, you know, like, and again, you can go back and check the footage, but if you look at the summer content we had on this channel when we signed Trusty and Engels and people were freaking out about the transfers, that was the number one thing I was saying. It's like, guys, get used to it. If we're in the Champions League every season and we get the type of games we got, or the type of, you know, if you look at the way it's been structured, we should have £6 million guys on the bench. Like, it should not be weird. It should be very normal. It's the age that we're in. Engels at 13 million, 11 million, whatever it was, shouldn't be a big deal. You know, we should have another 3 or 4 guys like that because we should buy one a year, you know, and then eventually fast forward to like now, we should have like 3 guys in the price bracket of Arnie Engels in the squad, which we don't, you know. Bibby is nowhere near worth 6.5. Yeah, well, it's just he's definitely not market value there, but it's a supply and demand situation. Are we looking at Kairat players? It wouldn't surprise me. That's a funny one. Quinny, the players you're identifying look better than the Dross Martin is supposed to be after. Thank you. My number one pick for striker still remains, and this is on pure profiling and like eye test. Like I've seen this guy play, and Martin O'Neill said that. He said part of the problem they need help with is that they can't look at all these players, and I get that. I have watched a lot of this guy, and I know if you look at his numbers and like how many goals he's scored, how many appearances he's had this year or whatever, like fine, I get it, right? It doesn't jump off the page, but this guy would just fit into our team like big time. Sergio Cameo, very, very yeah, this is all glitched up on me again here. Would fit into our team, no problem at all. Did very well under Andoni Iraola when he was Rayo Vallecano manager, scored in the final of the Olympics, played in La Liga for a number of seasons, well regarded Spain youth international, just ticks every box. Loan with a buy option for a guy like this just feels like the most Celtic thing to do. And, you know, this guy will score goals for us. This guy will link up play. This guy will press. Very good at the counter press and stuff. No guarantees whether we can get him to shave that tash off, though. It's maybe where the negotiations are slowing down. I'm not sure Fozzie and Maloney will take that tash at Lennox Town, would they? And again, if Balakrish is going out, this guy should be more than achievable, whether he plays in a top 5 league or not. And that's my main frustration when I see the links to Kovacevic's and everything. 2 seconds, I need to fix my lighting. Can we not just shop up the food chain a little bit more? And I suppose that's maybe why I would reconsider the whole Andrea Illich thing, because, you know, like he has been in a top 5 league. He is like doing acceptable, I would say, for like a middling team. Can we just double check the Bundesliga standings? I don't think Union Berlin are a bad team, but I certainly don't think they're doing anything exceptional. Yeah, they're in 9th. 22, yeah, again, a very low scoring team. Ollie Burke might be their top scorer. Union Berlin. Answer on 5. Yeah. Probably looks better than Illich to me. I've not really put eyes on Illich, but I'm not against guys that have, he's kind of done it at the Valerenga, the kind of Scandinavian stuff that we love. He's moved to a top 5 league and he's doing all right, but again, it's not a good attacking team. You know, it's very physical driven. Union Berlin. That's why Ollie Burke plays every week. It's just about being a big, strong guy, runs about, put your head in where it hurts, smash into people. What website is this? This one is SoRare. So this one, she's got all the nice graphics. The scoring out of 100 that we love. SoRare. More hair jibes, is there? For the full budget at Yuri Alberto. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I like the World Cup angle. I like the thought of that as well. I'm not sure Serbia are going to the World Cup, in fact, are they? Maybe they are. Yeah, Serbians are just always a big, powerful team, aren't they? Yeah. I seen a bit of a set 2 between Calvin Miller and Tierney. And I was thinking as well, by the way, wasn't Calvin Miller the left back coming through the youth team when Tierney like leapfrogged him? See, the way I think about it, Jay Walker boy, is if we wouldn't pay 6 million for Miovski, we're not going to pay it for Bowie. That's kind of the way I think of it. I'm not a big Miovski guy, as many of you know. Strelic as well. I was a bit. undecided on. I would just like us to go for more known guys. I've not heard anything about departures. I think the Balikwisha one feels like the main one. If we go and have a look at the team here, what's depth? Number one. Who could realistically... Balikwisha feels like he's the only one. Tabby, obviously, hilarious. Yeah, I think Balikwisha is the only realistic one that could be like sold. Odenholm, who knows what happens with that. Bernardo, I feel like he could go in this window. But realistically, especially with Jota now being out for the season, it sounds like AJ's back in March. Carter Vickers is maybe a bit after that. Iheanacho's back in training. Sirachi's back in training, apparently. Osmond, I don't think is too far behind. We're not back in training, but they're like moving and stuff again. I don't think anyone else can leave, really. Maybe like your Kennys and your Shins. Yeah, Shin could go. But yeah, I'm not sure there's many more departures that are even possible. Need to punt Dyson. Yeah, that could still happen, by the way, as well. And if Dyson and Balikwisha were to go, not that Balikwisha, you're not losing anything out the team, but wow, how much, like, you're just like, you would have, Celtic would have no excuses for nothing. If you're going to get transfer fee for Dyson, Dyson's wages off the books, and even just Balikwisha's wages off the books. Yeah, Donovan, I do think he is going to get loaned to like a Dundee or a Falkirk or somebody like that. I forget who it was, might have been Dundee. But yeah, I think he's going to get a loan out, which I think is a really good move. Ralston can be Ralston still. AJ comes back in March. We've got Araujo. I would get Donovan out on loan. I think it's a great move for the club. It's a smart move. How are we feeling? We might go back to Wolfsburg. Still fancy. Yeah. Or Wolfsburg and try and get Skov Olsen. Hatate, yeah. Do you know, we probably could lose Hatate out of the team, and domestically we would probably just about, I think you lose a lot of energy with Hatate though, and I know he's kind of off it now, and he didn't look great last night, did he? But you need to sign a midfielder. No, I don't think. Yeah, we do need to get Welsh back in. I had Welsh on our slide, but maybe just not saved it. Yeah, so let me do custom players, delete those guys, and then oh, come on, you. Why is it glitching on me? There we go. Who are we talking about here? Welsh. No, I think this is... Brendan Rodgers wanted 5 centre-backs at the club, he says. I think Martin O'Neill just wants 4. So I think that just secures us. Like, Welsh is like our safety net as we walk across this trapeze wire right now. No pressure. For what, Craig? Oh, yeah, because the thing wasn't working. Yeah, fair enough. I get it now. So, yeah, there's not many actual probable departures. So I'm not too sure there's really much to go out. But the club, the club are not a fan of the wage budget right now. Palma's on decent boona at a £4 million transfer when we signed him. The Rocky the same. Never mind the Balikwisha, Shin Yamada. I don't think is going to be on nothing either. We signed him from Kawasaki Frontale. It's not as if we got him from like a second division team, So I see him in better mood today. Maybe I'm just not as down. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm in overall better mood, but at least we're winning games. Is the number one thing. At least we're winning games. And see on the midfielder thing, by the way. Oh, do you know what? I did mean to bring this up before. But we're linked to a lot of Uruguayans in South America. And regular viewers of the channel will know I like a Uruguayan that plays in South America. We've spoke about him a few times on the channel. I recently spoke about him saying that he's like got over any injury problems he's had and he's like kicking on. And he has kicked on. He's doing pretty damn well. He's one of my favourites. He's a bit of old gold. Some of you that have followed me for a while will definitely know his name. Nicholas Acevedo. Now, see everything that you want in a defensive midfielder. This guy can pass like McGregor. No problem at all. Has a great engine, but is firmly a Uruguayan defensive midfielder. And every stereotype you want to think about, he brings it. Isn't quite as dirty. Isn't really a red card merchant or anything like that. And he has done very well at New York City. That's how I'm aware of him. Went to Brazil, to Bahia, who's the Brazilian Man City team. And he's been there for a while. We look at, oh, it's just all Bahia that'll be here now. But he's played in continental competition for them. He's always did quite well. Defensive midfielder, win the ball, move the ball. But yeah, has had an injury or two that slowed him down in recent times. But in the last season, has really got back fit and available. Is playing all the time. And like, if we're looking at Uruguayans in South America, that might be a parcel for me. 2 seconds. Oh, guys, by the way, now I've just received a package here. I kind of was expecting it. I got a notification that it was going to be coming to me, but it says, like, see on the documents on the front, it says to Richard Masters, company of the Premier League, and then the Premier League's like address and stuff on it. So it must be a Premier League goodie. Did I open this with you guys just now? Did I open this with you, or did I go to my place and open it? Let's open it here. Let's open it here. Let's see what we've got. Let's see. I've got no idea what it is. Something from the Premier League. It's just funny seeing Richard Masters on it. Ooh, this is fun. Happy holidays from CeltsAreHere. Thank you, CeltsAreHere. Thank you for your continued support. You inspire. Oh, so this is a Christmas present. Oh, I think I know what this is. I can tell by feeling it. Ooh. Cool little CeltsAreHere bag thing. That's fun. And I can feel what's inside it already. Smells beautiful, by the way. Oh, smell a bit of that. A ball. This is a Premier League ball? CeltsAreHere ball. A Premier League CeltsAreHere ball. When you pump this up, look at that. Where's the... Let me turn it that way. And that way. Try to do this in the camera. There we go. This is quite cool. Where did it say? Ah, yeah, it's up here. CeltsAreHere 26 plus K-Lab or something like that. So that's quite cool. I don't know where the Richard Masters Premier League thing comes into it, but cool. And is there a wee thing here? Oh, nice. Is this like a stand? Yeah, it says it's a ball stand. Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's cool. Thank you very much, CeltsAreHere. I've got no idea the context behind this beyond... Oh, okay. We're delighted to offer you a special edition CeltsAreHere ball, a unique keepsake crafted with care and appreciation. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I love it. Magic. Oh, there we go. Finishing a nice wee positive note, everyone. Cut your hair now. New striker signed. Really? Really? Now, we've got a bad habit of leaving the streams and then Celtic transfer. Actually, let me see. What was that? Boom. That's 15 hours ago. And then we did Celtic transfer. Ooh, makes one thing clear. Andy Robertson, he wants to finish his career at Celtic. Abnormal. Interesting headline. It reminds me of Guy Carez, so that's not a great thing to hear right now. Although Guy Carez at a certain level would be a bully, wouldn't he? Mitchell Robertson at Livingston. He's been very good at the B team. Be interesting to see how he does it, Livy. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we're missing anything. Awesome. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow, probably to talk about a wee bit of Auchinleck Talbot, maybe some transfer news as well. And yeah, let's just cross our fingers and toes something happens. If you haven't done so already, please do like and subscribe for more content like this. I'm going to go pump this ball up and maybe try and find somewhere to put it. But yeah, hail, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. One the hoops.